When I was 82 years old, something very small began to change. At least, that's what I thought. I'd be sitting by my living room window, reading my Bible with my morning cup of tea, and I'd find myself holding the pages just a little farther away, then a little closer, then farther away again. I blamed the lighting. I cleaned my glasses. I even joked that maybe the words in my Bible had decided to shrink overnight. My name is Margaret. I'm 97 years old now. By God's grace, I still enjoy baking bread on Sunday afternoons, tending the roses outside my kitchen window, and reading a few chapters of Scripture every morning before the rest of the house wakes up. Those quiet mornings are precious to me. But there was a season when I worried they might slowly disappear. It wasn't just the reading. The colors in my garden didn't seem quite as bright. Driving after sunset became uncomfortable. Headlights from oncoming cars looked fuzzier than I remembered. Sometimes I'd miss seeing a step that had been right in front of me. Nothing dramatic, just little things. Little whispers that something wasn't quite right. Like many people, I told myself, "Well, Margaret, you're getting older." And while that was certainly true, my eye doctor gently reminded me that getting older doesn't mean we stop taking care of ourselves. It simply means we pay closer attention. After my appointment, I remember asking him, "Is there anything I can do to help my eyes?" I expected him to hand me a long list of expensive vitamins. Instead, he smiled kindly and said, "There are a few simple habits that can make a meaningful difference. Not miracles, not magic, just small daily choices." That conversation stayed with me because after raising children, caring for a home, and living nearly a century, I've learned something very important. Our health is often shaped by little habits, not one big decision. Over the next several months, I changed a few simple things about the way I cared for my eyes. Nothing complicated, nothing expensive. But little by little, reading became more comfortable. My eyes didn't feel quite so tired in the evenings, and I stopped taking the gift of sight for granted. Now, before I share those changes, I want to say something important. I'm not an eye doctor. If you're noticing sudden vision changes, eye pain, flashes of light, or a rapid loss of sight, please don't wait. See an eye care professional right away. I'm simply sharing the little habits that help me care for the eyes God has blessed me with. So, if you'll keep me company for a few minutes, I'll tell you what I changed after my eyes began sending me those quiet little whispers at 82. The very first thing I changed was what I put on my plate. Now, I wasn't eating candy for breakfast. At least I hoped I wasn't. I thought I was eating fairly well. A piece of toast with jam, a sandwich at lunchtime, maybe a little dessert after supper if someone had baked a pie. Nothing unusual, nothing I considered unhealthy. During one of my appointments, my eye doctor asked, "Margaret, has anyone ever talked to you about nutrition and your eyes?" I smiled and said, "I thought carrots were the whole story." He laughed too. Then he said, "Carrots are wonderful, but your eyes enjoy a much bigger dinner than that." He explained that our eyes, just like the rest of our body, need steady nourishment over many years. Foods rich in leafy greens, colorful vegetables, and healthy fats provide nutrients that help support normal eye function as we age. It wasn't about chasing one magical food. It was about building a colorful plate, day after day. That reminded me of something my mother used to say, "The prettiest garden is the one with many different flowers." Maybe our dinner plates should look a little like our gardens. So I started making small changes. Spinach found its way into my omelets. Bright orange carrots appeared beside my suppers. Blueberries became part of my breakfast. A handful of walnuts often replaced the cookies I'd reach for in the afternoon. And every week, I'd enjoy fish a little more often than I used to. Nothing fancy, just simple foods that had been around much longer than I had. I didn't expect anything dramatic. But after several weeks, my eyes didn't seem quite so tired by bedtime. Reading in the afternoon felt more comfortable. Even the colors in my flower garden seemed just a little more cheerful. Perhaps they hadn't changed at all. Perhaps I had simply started taking better care of the eyes that were looking at them. That taught me something. Our bodies are wonderfully patient. When we begin treating them with kindness, they often respond with quiet gratitude. The second thing I changed surprised me even more. It had nothing to do with food. In fact, it was something I had been doing every single day without giving it a second thought. And once I stopped, My eyes thanked me almost immediately. The second thing I changed was learning to give my eyes a little rest. Now that may sound almost too simple. After all, how hard can resting your eyes be? But I didn't realize how much I was asking of them. I'd sit for hours reading, then I'd move to a crossword puzzle. After that, I'd knit for a while. In the evening, I'd watch a little television before bed. There wasn't anything wrong with those activities. The problem was, I hardly ever stopped. At one of my checkups, my eye doctor asked, "Margaret, when you're reading, how often do you look up?" I smiled. "Oh, probably when I reach the end of the chapter." He laughed kindly and shook his head. Then he said, "Your eyes are like any other hard-working part of your body. If you ask them to focus on one distance for hours, they begin to feel tired." That made perfect sense to me. I've spent years baking bread. If you keep kneading dough without ever letting it rest, it becomes difficult to work with. Sometimes, even good things need a little pause. So I started creating tiny moments of rest. Every 20 minutes or so, I'd set my book down, look out the kitchen window, watch the birds hop across the lawn, or admire the roses blooming beside the fence. Just for a little while. Then I'd go back to reading. It wasn't a chore. In fact, those little pauses became something I looked forward to. Instead of rushing through another chapter, I'd notice the clouds, the breeze moving through the trees, a butterfly landing on one of my flowers. Funny, isn't it? Sometimes caring for our eyes also reminds us to enjoy what they're seeing. I also changed the lighting in my favorite reading chair. For years, I'd been reading with a lamp that was far too dim. I suppose I just got used to it. My grandson came over one afternoon and replaced the old bulb with a brighter one. I looked down at my book and said, "Well, would you look at that? I thought the print had gotten bigger." He laughed so hard he nearly spilled his lemonade. The print hadn't changed. The lighting had. And my eyes no longer had to struggle quite so much. Another little habit I picked up was remembering to blink. Now I know that sounds funny. Who forgets to blink? More people than you'd think. When we're concentrating on reading, sewing, or looking at a screen, we often blink less. That can leave our eyes feeling dry and tired. So every now and then, I'd simply close my eyes for a few seconds, take a slow breath, blink a few times, and begin again. Such a tiny habit, yet it made my afternoons much more comfortable. Those little changes didn't make me 20 again. That wasn't the goal. The goal was simply to care for the eyesight I still had. Because gratitude isn't wishing for what we've lost. It's taking good care of what we've been blessed to keep. And that's probably the greatest lesson my eyes have ever taught me. Not to take another sunrise, another smiling face, or another page in my Bible for granted. You know, when you're young, you rarely think about your eyesight. You simply open your eyes each morning and expect the world to be waiting for you. The sunrise, the faces of the people you love, the words on a favorite page, the colors of spring flowers. You assume they'll always be there. Then one day, you realize every sunrise is a gift. Every smile is a blessing. Every page you can still read is something to be thankful for. I think that's one of the beautiful lessons that comes with growing older. We stop rushing past ordinary moments. We begin noticing them. These days, I don't hurry through my morning devotions anymore. I read a little slower. I pause a little longer. Sometimes I simply close my Bible and look out the window, watching the birds gather on the fence, or the sunlight dancing across the garden. Those quiet moments fill my heart just as much as the words on the page, perhaps even more. Looking back now, the changes I made after 82 weren't complicated. I ate more colorful foods. I gave my eyes regular breaks. I improved the lighting in my home. I blinked more often. And most importantly, I stopped taking my eyesight for granted. None of those habits were dramatic, but together, they reminded me that caring for ourselves is one way we show gratitude for the life we've been given. Now, I also want to remind you of something very important. Our eyes can change for many different reasons. Conditions like cataracts, glaucoma, age-related macular degeneration, and diabetes can all affect vision. That's why regular eye exams become even more important as we grow older. If you notice sudden vision loss, flashes of light, new floaters, severe eye pain, or anything that worries you, please don't wait. See an eye care professional as soon as you can. Sometimes the greatest act of wisdom is asking for help early. At 97, people sometimes ask me, "Margaret, what's the secret to aging well?" I always tell them the same thing. There isn't one secret. It's 1,000 tiny choices. Choosing gratitude over complaining. Choosing a short walk instead of another hour in the chair. Choosing colorful food instead of convenient food. Choosing to care for your body, even when nobody is watching. Those little choices may seem insignificant today, but over the years, they quietly become the story of your life. I've baked hundreds of loaves of bread over the years, and every loaf taught me the same lesson. Wonderful things don't happen all at once. They rise, little by little. Health is much the same. You don't become healthier in one afternoon. You simply keep making good choices, one day at a time. So if your eyes have started changing, please don't lose heart. Growing older doesn't mean you've reached the end of the road. It simply means it's time to become a little kinder to yourself, a little more patient, and a little more thankful for every beautiful thing your eyes still get to see. Before I go, I'd love to know something about you. How young are you today? And where are you watching from? I always enjoy reading your messages. They remind me that no matter where we live, we're all hoping for the same simple blessings: good health, peaceful mornings, and just a few more chances to watch another beautiful sunrise. Thank you for spending these moments with me. May God bless you. Take good care of your eyes, and never stop noticing the beauty that's been placed right in front of you.